Hi, and welcome to the Thrive Alcohol-Free podcast. I'm Dupe Witherick, alcohol-free well-being and transformational coach, and the best-selling author of A Cocktail of Clarity, How to Ditch Drinking, Embody a Joyful New Identity, and Thrive Alcohol-Free. This podcast will show you that being alcohol-free is not what the traditional narrative says. And even though alcohol is so ingrained in our society that it is okay to give yourself permission to stop drinking if you want to. And you do not have to wait until you hit rock bottom. It is certainly not boring, and I believe ditching drinking is just the start to living an extraordinary life. By getting rid of this one thing, it allows the doors to open to endless possibilities and opportunities. Each week, we will have guests on who are at various stages of the alcohol-free journey, from those who are curious to those who have been alcohol-free for years. We will also have experts on talking about different topics relating to alcohol and beyond. Through these conversations, you will discover what it means to thrive alcohol-free. Enjoy. Hi, and welcome to the latest episode of the Thrive Alcohol-Free podcast. I hope you're doing well. I am Dupe Witherick, your host, and I'm delighted that you are here listening, and I do hope you've had a good week. So I've got an exciting guest on today, and she has created something that I know you are going to want to get onto and listen to and watch, and I'm really excited for it, and I'm excited to be a part of it. But before we go there, I've been reflecting on a few conversations recently, and I've been feeling that there's this underlying frustration that seems to keep coming up. And professional women are working so hard, doing all the things, but the recognition isn't there. And so my clients are finding, and people I'm having conversations with are finding that they're either reflecting on whether or not they are being recognized for what they do and paid their worth in that sense, or they're thinking, actually, is this ladder up against the wrong wall and should I be thinking of doing something else? Or they're thinking about whether or not the company that they're with is the right company. Just doing some reflection, really. And I think when you become alcohol-free, it's one of the things that comes up. You start getting memories back or realizations or little intuitive nudges that you might not have been aware of or just weren't open to prior to not drinking. And so when you then stop drinking, clarity comes, focus and awareness comes that maybe you didn't have before, which then gets you questioning things and really thinking about things. But I wanted to help people with that. So I have created a free guide called 10 Steps to Double Your Salary. And as a valued member of the Thrive Alcohol-Free community, I wanted you to have it. So I'm going to put the link below for you to grab it. But I do believe you should be making way more money in your corporate role than you are. And I'm not talking about a 5% raise. I mean, doubling your salary like I did. So if you have been over delivering and underpaid for far too long, this guide is your sign. And let's be honest, and a lot of us have been the good girl. We've been doing all the right things. We've been showing up. We've been staying late. We've been keeping everyone happy. But the promotion still hasn't come. The money still isn't managing your worth. I wonder if this sounds familiar to you, because I've been there. I've been passed over, burnt out, wondering what I was doing wrong. But once I made a few strategic moves, including taking a 21-day break from alcohol for that clarity to come, I was headhunted and doubled my salary within a few months. And so now I coach women like you to do the same. And so this free guide is not fluff. You're absolutely going to get a lot of good nuggets, which I know will help you. You'll get the mindset shift that changes how you're seen at work. You'll get how to open yourself up to bigger opportunities and the power moves that changed everything for me. And it's not what you think. And yes, it's absolutely free. And so you may be thinking, well, it's not the right time for me to look at a different opportunity, or I should be grateful for what I have, or maybe next year. But I'm here to say, no, this is your reminder. You are the one who gets to decide when enough is enough. You don't have to figure it out all alone. And I've laid it all out for you in this guide. So if you are ready to command the salary that you deserve, or get the role, or go after the opportunity that you've been wanting for a while, I really encourage you to read my free guide, 10 Steps to Double Your Corporate Salary. And it's an absolute gift. So I don't want you to wait. It's time to stop waiting and start earning what you're worth. And you've already done the hard work. So now it's time to get paid for it. So I'm really excited about this. And I really think that this is going to help you on your journey. Today's guest is Sarah Treacy. And after 2 decades leading strategic marketing teams with top Canadian retailers, Sarah Treacy experienced a profound shift following her sobriety in 2020, trading boardrooms for bold purpose. She now channels her expertise into helping others find joy and success in long-term sobriety. As the Sober Sherpa, Sarah guides people through the now what of recovery, igniting passion, building communities, and living with deep purpose. She's on a mission to prove that sobriety isn't boring, isolating, or restrictive. It's the start of your greatest adventure. And Sarah's created something incredible, a virtual speaker series called Sobriety is the New Epic, which is really designed to show you exactly how a sober life can be wildly fun, connected, and fulfilling. So you're going to hear from over 25 sober trailblazers who have turned sobriety into their greatest adventure, from best-selling authors to entrepreneurs to community leaders. And I'm delighted to be one of those speakers. So I'm really excited to have Sarah on, as this is going to be an incredible new event that I'm sure will keep going for years. And it's absolutely free. So I really love that. So I'm going to put the details on below, but I have no doubt that once you've listened to her story and listened to this episode, you will want to sign up to Sobriety is the New Epic. So without further ado, here is the conversation with Sarah. So welcome, Sarah. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. How are you?
Hi, Dupe. I'm so good. Thank you so much for having me today.
Oh, you're most welcome. It's so exciting. So we're going to get on to one of the massive things that you're doing, which is incredible. And we'll hear all about that in a bit. But why don't we maybe start, for people that might not know you, why don't we start with a bit of an introduction? Who are you and what brings you to the Thrive Alcohol Free podcast?
Oh my goodness, Dupe, just a few months ago, I was in my solo sobriety cocoon. I hadn't really branched out and shared my story at all. But this year, I celebrate 5 years sober. This
Congratulations.
weekend, actually, which is really exciting. And I promised
Wow.
myself this year was the year that, I was going to make all of these dreams that have been kind of percolating over the past 5 years come to life. And one of the ways that I'm doing that is launching this new speaker series that we'll talk about in a bit. So, yeah, I don't have a story too dissimilar to many others that you've probably heard. I really quite enjoyed my drinking party days. I had a good long run at it, but as most do, I started to see those negative consequences building up, and just being somebody that doesn't have an off switch and just seeing that get worse and worse over time, and just constantly having to wake up with that shame and embarrassment of things that I had done before, not to mention just not being at my best, feeling terrible, wasting days away. COVID hit, and I was slapped in the face with a realization that if I didn't do something about this, I may lose the career I had protected at all costs. So I spent about 20 years in the corporate world, climbing the corporate ladder, really hiding behind the success and saying to myself that maybe my drinking wasn't so bad if I was able to achieve some of the success that I had. But once COVID hit, that was put into jeopardy. I no longer had to go into work and I could hide behind turning my camera off. And I just realized really quickly it was going to go sideways. So that's when I finally made the decision that I needed to end this love affair with alcohol.
I love that. End the love affair with alcohol. So what did you do? How did you go about ending the love affair?
Yeah, well, I did need to get some help because I realized that I wasn't going to be able to do it on my own. And thankfully, because of COVID, there was an intensive online program that I could do while still maintaining my day job. So I went on Zoom call meetings all day long for work. And then in the evenings, I joined a program. It was about 2 to 3 hours every single night. We focused a lot on CBT, DBT, and then there was a group therapy portion as well, which I was really reluctant to do at first because I wasn't really thinking that I was going to resonate with any other people. I had definitely attached a stigma to those people that required help with alcohol, and I wasn't necessarily looking to be around those types of people. So it was quite shocking when I turned on the screen and looked across and saw many people that looked just like me and had very similar stories, just like mine. They were successful professionals and definitely weren't what I expected to see. So I did that program for 3 months and realized pretty quickly on that alcohol was not something I could manage. I actually read This Naked Mind by Annie Grace. I devoured that book twice in 48 hours, front to back, and it just clicked. I had been trying to manage something that was not manageable for so long. And once I realized what alcohol was actually doing, it became really clear. And then just being part of this program that I was doing and seeing that I wasn't alone and on this island, it wasn't just me, there was many other people just like me, it became a lot easier to accept that this was just not going to be something I could do any longer. And fortunate for me, it was all upside from there. I didn't really struggle with my sobriety. As we all know, once you start realizing the benefits, they snowball. And it's such an exciting journey to be on to realize what's possible and that you aren't actually giving up anything and you're gaining so much. And so, yeah, I quite enjoyed those first few months, even that first year of sobriety. And thank God it was COVID. I will credit COVID for not having FOMO dangled in front of me, things that would have potentially swayed me or made me second guess my decision, as I had second guessed so many times before when I had tried to stop. That wasn't there. Nobody was doing anything. It was just me. I could really focus on that self-discovery part of a sobriety journey that's so important and really get some time behind me to rewire my brain and set me on this new path.
Hmm. Yeah, it was a gift in a way, wasn't it, COVID? Because I stopped drinking in COVID as well. And I think it
Yeah.
was an absolute gift for so many of us. And obviously it was so sad and just horrendous. But to have the opportunity to just go inwards and really think about what you wanted, what you didn't want. And it changed a lot of people. It gave a lot of people a reset. And it sounds like
Yeah.
that was
I
similar for
say that it
you.
saved my life, and you're right. It was hard to say and
Mm,
admit because there was so
mm,
much sadness around COVID for so many people, and I obviously
mm.
felt terrible for them and wouldn't have wished that on anybody, but I needed the world to shut down. It's
Yeah.
my life 100%.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? We were all on this treadmill, this sort of hamster wheel, thinking that this was life. And it certainly reset a lot of people and changed a lot of people's outlook on things. So that's fantastic. So when is the sober anniversary? 5 years. That's so
It's on
exciting.
Sunday, April
Sunday,
20th.
Easter Sunday. Oh,
Easter
amazing.
Sunday. Yeah.
Amazing. Well,
It's so funny. My
congratulations.
sobriety date is an easy one to remember, 4/20, 2020. I obviously didn't ever celebrate 4/20 in my non-sobriety days. I wasn't really a weed smoker, but it is an interesting sober date. I often get
Yeah.
people laughing at.
Oh, brilliant. So the 20th, that's so exciting, so exciting. Well, congratulations to you. And so you did the 3 months. And so what has happened since? Because as you say, and it's something I say all the time, is you're not giving up anything, you're only gaining. And just by making this one decision, opportunities and just things happen that you just don't expect. So maybe talk about some of the benefits that you've seen and actually what's happened over the past few years, because I found it fascinating that you said that, okay, so you're coming up to 5 years, but it's only really this year that you've chosen to maybe come out about it and do something with it. So I'd love to hear maybe before we get to this year, what did you see over the first 4.5 years or so?
Absolutely. I mean, my favorite part of my sobriety story is the journey I've taken since making that decision to quit drinking. And it's evolved so much over the past 5 years. That first year, as I mentioned, was really an important year of self-discovery for me. I needed to get to know myself a bit more. I did a lot of personal work. I got into journaling. I really needed that because I didn't necessarily embrace the traditional means of therapy, but I did require it. So I got some books that I would read every morning and that prompted me to kind of work through some things. And that was an important step, I think, to let go of, potentially some things I had been harboring, also to forgive myself for the pain that I had caused members of my family and friends, and really to intention set as well and what I wanted for my life moving forward. So I did that a lot. I also got super healthy and active and spent a lot of time outdoors. Of course, it was COVID, so you couldn't do much else than walk. I discovered every trail and park in a certain kilometer radius of my house, but it was such an important time of reflection for me, and I think really helped set me on my next path. But what was really true for me in the very beginning was that I didn't want sobriety to define me at all. I think there was still, and I later realized this, some shame and embarrassment around needing to quit in the first place. This is something I later worked through and realized that it, wasn't my fault and that this is exactly what alcohol is intended to do for you. And the ability to stop is something worth wearing as a badge of honor and celebrating. But I didn't know that right away. So I was ready to jump right back into my life just as a non-drinker. There was certain circles that I obviously didn't reintroduce myself to, but of course, it was COVID and there wasn't a lot of socializing anyway. So I had a small
Mm.
group of friends that we would go on hikes with, and I quickly realized the power of friendship and connection that can happen when you actually dedicate real quality time like that and getting outdoors. And it really allows you to let your guard down a bit and connect on a deeper level. And I started to realize all these relationships I thought I had in the past were so surface level. And so my perspective definitely changed on the type of people I would spend my time with. But that was an important next step for me too. It wasn't necessarily that I needed to be around other non-drinkers. I just needed to be around people who I would connect deeper with. So that continued on. It was probably around year 3 that I started to realize that something was missing. And I wasn't sure what it was. I felt like there was a social side of me that was still lacking, but I wanted to socialize in different capacities. And I started looking online. I still hadn't really entertained sober Instagram yet or anything like that. So I didn't really know what was going on out there. But I came across an article about one of my speakers, Carrie May. She is the founder of a retreat company called Brave, and she coined this term adventure recovery. And it is all about getting out into nature and hiking and connecting with other like-minded individuals that have a shared lived experience with substance abuse, but isn't necessarily the focus of why you're getting together, but it naturally comes up, which is a beautiful thing. Anyways, she was running these retreats, and I just thought this spoke to me, and I wanted to not only attend one, I wanted to do something like this potentially. So I looked all around Canada to find something similar, and there wasn't anything. So I packed my bags and I went to Zion, Utah. on one of her retreats, and that was pretty game changing. I was so nervous. I had never been around other sober people before in a capacity like that, in a social capacity like that. But it was a real game changer. I walked through the door and all those nerves just completely disappeared. I looked around the room and it was just this immediate sense of acceptance and understanding, no judgment. And the bonds we formed on that weekend were so deep and unlike any relationship I had been able to accomplish up until that point over years of times, which is
Mm.
amazing. So
Mm.
yeah, that was a big moment for me to see something like that, and it affirmed almost certainly that this was something that I wanted to entertain doing. Because at the same time, my corporate career, which I had protected at all costs, was starting to mean less and less to me. Climbing that corporate ladder, I didn't need it anymore. I needed it before to prove I wasn't a total screw up. But now I was living proof that I wasn't, so I didn't necessarily need that. And I was getting this itch, then this desire to help people find the success and happiness that I had. And I wasn't sure how until I had heard about this adventure recovery and experienced that first retreat. And so since then, I've been trying to figure out how I might do that.
So tell me more.
So, as I mentioned, I still carried quite a bit of shame and embarrassment around the idea of being sober. And so I needed to work through that. I needed to figure out what was holding me back from telling my story, from getting out into this space more publicly. And that took some work. I met Heather Lowe on that retreat, and she
Mm.
became someone that I eventually reached out to help me build a sober recovery coaching practice, which is how I originally thought I might start in this space. I had taken a recovery coaching course earlier, maybe in year two, as potentially something that I might want to do, but I wasn't fully set on it. So she helped me work through that. And as we were working together, we realized that before I could even think about going and helping other people, I had to get comfortable owning my own story. So I credit a lot of that work to her because I don't think I really believed it was something that I could own and celebrate until then. So that was a big milestone to overcome. And then the idea of just starting, I couldn't wrap my head around taking that first step. I could see the end goal. I'm a big thinker. I am blue sky thinker, and I'm not necessarily great at figuring out the steps that you have to take and realizing that that small step will eventually get you to that larger outcome that you're after. Was something that was hard for me to wrap my head around. It all just sort of seemed too small to me. Heather would be like, hey, just organize a hike and see who will come. And I just, I couldn't. I couldn't get there. I needed it to be bigger. I needed it to influence more. I needed to feel like I was impacting a greater amount of people. And so that's when I decided that this might be an opportunity for me to bring a speaker series together and think about how I might differentiate the message that was already out in the market. I think I'd heard a lot of people talking about how to get sober and not so much on how to stay sober. There's this real shift that happened for me later in my sobriety journey, this idea of now what? Getting sober was one thing, that's a huge accomplishment. There's these really great wins along the way, but once you start to kind of plateau or not really necessarily sure about how to get more connected or to find a greater purpose. This is a real opportunity to tap into how sobriety can evolve and turn into your greatest adventure. So that's how I started dreaming up this idea of Sobriety is the New Epic, the speaker series that is launching on the 21st. I wanted to showcase all of you amazing sober trailblazers and what you have been able to accomplish through your sobriety, and whether or not that was conquering a bold challenge or turning a passion into a thriving community or turning your sobriety into a purposeful, meaningful career. I think there's just so many ways that sobriety can evolve and be super fun and super connected. And there's still so many people out there that are convinced that it's going to be boring and isolating and restrictive. So I really wanted to shine a light on what's possible and hopefully inspire people to find what we have.
Amazing. Gosh, there's so much there. And isn't it interesting how you end up really uh, thinking you're going on this journey of, oh, I'm stopping drinking and that's it. And then everything changes. Your whole perspective changes. It was really interesting what you said about your corporate career, that you realized you didn't need it anymore. And
Right.
actually, that had been defining you for so long. And I think we all get caught up in this so-called ladder that we're climbing. And it isn't until something drastic happens or you decide to stop drinking that you realize that potentially that ladder's up against the wrong wall and there's so much more you could be doing, right? So I love the fact that you actually gave yourself permission to think differently, because again, a lot of people will just stay in that situation
Yeah.
thinking,
It's
well,
safe.
that's safe. That's the safe option.
Yeah.
And isn't it amazing as well how just having certain experiences shifts your perspective? Because I wonder how you felt. You were obviously called to go to the Adventure Recovery Retreat, but how did you feel going into it versus the impact it's obviously made since? Because I know that you're also looking to do something yourself in Canada with it. But again, just these little opportunities or things that happen, synchronicities, I like to call them, like meeting Heather at that retreat and then her ending up doing that again. I feel like your intuition gets stronger as well. When you stop drinking, the ideas come that maybe you would never even have thought about. You start
Yeah.
doing things that you maybe were doing as a child, but you'd forgotten about them because drinking had always been the thing that you did instead. So maybe talk a bit to that and to the person who might be thinking, well, I want to try, I want to do something different, but I'm so fearful. I do think it's boring. Or I have stopped, but now I'm wanting to integrate into some community. What is my first step?
Right. Yeah, I was so impatient. I was thinking that I was so behind and that things were moving so slowly. And I love how you pointed out that there were certain things along the way that needed to happen to bring me to where I am today. And I think that's an important thing to remind ourselves as well, that, for anyone who's regretting how long it took them to stop drinking in the first place. I mean, that is eventually what will bring you here to this point that may end up being the very thing that gives your life greater purpose and meaning. So I have few regrets. I don't think that that's an important place to focus your attention, but it is easier for me to look back now and be like, oh yeah, okay, I needed each of those steps to get where I am now. Because in the moment I was like, okay, what am I going to do? I know that I don't want to be in this corporate career anymore, but I'm not brave enough to leave and start from scratch if I don't really have a concrete plan. So I needed to go through each one of those steps. So I would definitely say just keep experimenting. I did that recovery coaching program in year 2, and then I went on a retreat in year 3, and then I hired my own coach in year 4, and then just started to get comfortable telling my story as I was approaching year 5. But I also started to give myself goals, told people, wrote them down, made sure that I wasn't going to miss yet another year, because I think I had been saying I was going to do something in this space since year 2 or year 3. And so finally, when I got to year 5, I was like, okay, this is happening. I'm not giving myself any other outs. So I think it is important to give yourself some markers to work towards, but take the steps and just experiment, because it will eventually lead you to the place you're meant to be. I needed to take those steps to figure this out, to figure out how I was going to differentiate myself in the market, how I was going to truly, authentically give back in a way that meant something to me. So that's where we are.
Yeah. And I think that's really important what you said about experimenting. it's so easy to think that this is the only way, or if I go down this route, then I can't pivot, I can't change. But it's really following your curiosity. And if you're curious about becoming alcohol free, for example, as you say, experiment, take a step, do something, read a book, listen to Sobriety is the new epic to actually get inspired, do something about it, take that step. If you are curious about wanting to make friends now that you're alcohol free, take a step towards it. Go join a club or go on a hike with someone, do something that instigates it. Go on Instagram and just go on the sober account and start interacting with them.
There's
Get in
so
touch
many
with
resources
you, get in touch with me, whatever. There's
Yeah.
so many things that people can do. And so I really love that. I think look at it as an experiment. And I also think it's not putting too much pressure on yourself as well to know the right answer and get to the end result, because these things take time. As you've just shown, it's been 5 years that you've been on this journey. And some people will say, well, 5 years is a long time, but actually, I imagine it's gone pretty quickly. And for me, I always think, well, if you don't start now, where will you be in 5 years? Probably exactly the same place. So who knows where you'll be in the next 5 years?
Yeah.
Just start today.
Yeah, Ken Middleton coined decageism. I'm not sure if I'm saying it properly, but it's exactly that point. 10 years can go by in a blink of an eye, but it can also feel like a long time. You're never as young as you are today. So just start, and your future self will not be disappointed at all. And it's never too late to start either. I just interviewed Janet Gourant, who is,
oh, she's amazing.
Yeah, she got sober at 63,
I know.
and look what she's done now with Tribe Sober. So, it really is remarkable, and there is no right age to do it and no wrong age to do it either. So, yeah, just start.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think we put all these limitations on ourselves. We're too young, we're too old, we're too this, we're too that. And it's just not true. And if we can let go of those things and just do what we want to do, life is there waiting for you. So love it. Okay, so let's go on to the main topic. The Sobriety is the new epic, is the new virtual speaker series that you have created, Sarah, which is amazing. So why don't you tell me a bit about how you came up with the idea, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, this has been such a surreal experience for me. Honestly, like I said, it was 3 months ago that I just started to have my own sober Instagram account and retelling my sobriety story. And through that, it became clear to me that this was a piece that I felt was missing in some of the series I had seen before. This idea of not only reasons to help you stop, but how to really get the most out of sobriety and how you can stay sober happily and fulfilled. There are so many great examples, and I had the fortunate pleasure of interviewing over 25 of them. And honestly, there are so many more. But I think that we landed with such a great lineup of real life proof that sobriety is totally epic. And what you can accomplish when you let go of that one thing that seems to be holding us back is incredible. So, I went out looking for speakers that had a range of experience, whether it was conquering a bold challenge like running marathons. Luke Serrato is a great example of that, where he got so much strength in his early sobriety through running and setting those really lofty goals and challenges ahead. I think a lot of us really need a new challenge or goal to find adventure through. Many of us hike mountains like we have. We've both been up Kilimanjaro. A couple of our speakers have done that as well. So looked around those individuals that could speak to somebody who might be looking for a new challenge. And then I interviewed a ton of people who have started communities, and these communities range all ages and all focuses, from adventure recovery. Carrie is here to talk about that. And Mary Tilson, who she's partnered with, who has a real big focus on outdoor and meditation, yourself and Courtney and Megan Wilcox and Heather, as we mentioned, there's so many of your great examples of the power of community and connection. I certainly didn't realize that in my early sobriety, what the power of that would be and how meaningful those relationships can be. And just to hear your story in other people, or just be surrounded by people who just get it and are
Mm,
like you, looking for new ways to spend their time, because there's lots of
mm,
time out there that we wasted so much time doing drinking. So I think there's a lot of that. And then ultimately there's the purpose side of it as well, which is where a lot of us end up later in our sobriety journey, is figuring out how can we give back? How can we feel more purposeful in our life? And attaching it to something like sobriety can be the answer. And so there's so many different examples of people who have turned their sobriety into a meaningful career. So that was really inspiring as well. But lots of different types. Like we talked about Janet kind of getting started at 63. We have other speakers like Jack Cotterill, who got sober in his early 20s. And then you have the mom story, the dad story. I think we've got such a great range of speakers who are really diving into all areas of sobriety and what it's meant to them in their journey.
mm. Yeah, and that's incredible. And it's incredible that you have managed to pull all these people together. But I have to say, I do love how generous people are in this community. I really feel like the alcohol-free sober community is just incredible in terms of how much people are willing to give and share, and obviously want other people to know. This is the best kept secret. And when you're on this side of the fence, you just want everyone to get it. You want everyone to know. And if you can do that little thing to help people know a little bit about it and inspire them to maybe take that one step, I think that's great. So how did you go about approaching all these people, and what's your reaction been? And was it better than you expected?
Oh, like unbelievably surpassed all my wildest expectations. And you're absolutely right. I have been so humbled by the generosity and the willingness to help me on this mission, being somebody that no one's ever even heard of, quite frankly, and still willing to jump on board, and just realizing the power that they have to help others is so remarkable. The impact that we will have by all coming together to do this is something that is realized by pretty much every single person I reached out to. I definitely did take my time to research and let the various speakers know why I thought their story would be a powerful addition to this series. But it was without a doubt such an easy sell. I'm a marketer. It was very easy to market, because I think everybody in this community has just got this undying desire to spread the word and bring more people over to the bright side. So it's been so, so cool. And honestly, like I said at the beginning, I've had to pinch myself many times throughout this process. I can't believe I'm sitting across the screen from people I looked up to for so long, and to share a table now. It has allowed my confidence to grow as well. I'm forever grateful for that, because not necessarily sure I could be at the same table for so long. So it has been really nice to be embraced the way I have been from everyone, and to have this opportunity to bring this to more people.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. So, why don't you tell people about how to get their free ticket, and then what they can expect in terms of when it is, and et cetera, et cetera, how many speakers each day, things like that.
Yeah, so it starts on Monday, April 21st, and every day we will release 1 to 2 interviews for 14 days. So it's going to run all the way until May 4th. So, really just trying to have it be sort of bite-sized, manageable pieces of content each day, to not be so overwhelming, but also to give people an opportunity to determine which topics or speakers they'd like to tune into. And the interviews will go up for 24 hours. So definitely check the schedule to make sure you don't miss the ones that you're most looking forward to hearing from. And you can sign up at soberadventurecollective.com.
Brilliant, brilliant. And so you said 24 hours to get the recording. Will it be available at all after that, or is that the only opportunity?
Yeah, there is an opportunity to get an all-access Epic Pass. This will give you an opportunity to have unlimited access to all the recordings. But the thing that I'm most excited about is to offer as part of that upgrade is the action workbook. And this workbook really is going to help individuals turn the inspiration and insights that they are seeing and hearing about into real life action. So you can expect sort of a summary of each of the speakers' highlights and key insights, but then also some prompts around some actionable next steps, and really push yourself to not just hear these incredible interviews, but actually do some of that self-reflection and identify opportunities to turn this into your own epic sobriety journey.
Oh, I love that. That sounds really practical for people to then take away. So, yeah, brilliant, brilliant. That sounds well worth getting.
Mhm.
Okay, so this is going to be an incredible experience for anyone who wants to attend. And really, it's for anyone who, even if you're curious and you haven't even started your alcohol-free journey, I know it's going to inspire you to see a different way. Because certainly for a lot of people that I've worked with and for myself personally, seeing what's possible was really important. And you've got 25 plus speakers who are telling you lots of different things. So there's going to be someone that you resonate with. If you're listening to this and you're thinking, well, I don't know if I'm going to resonate with anyone, there's going to be someone definitely that you're going to resonate with who will inspire you. So I think it's an amazing opportunity for people to just hear stories and get inspired and motivated and realize that sobriety just isn't what society says it is, which is if you're sober, you're boring and all the rest of it. So
Gosh, there's
definitely
so many
go.
great resources. So many of the speakers have brought, helpful guides and toolkits and calendars of activities to do. There's free trials. There's incredible offers to connect with each of the speakers after the series as well, which I think is just, again, another testament to how amazing each of the speakers in this community as a whole, and their willingness to extend help to others. So there's so much value packed into this series. I can't wait for the community at whole to get a hold of it.
Brilliant, brilliant. So we've talked about the last 5 years, Sarah. What would you like to happen after this series? And is it something you're going to do again? And what's your vision for the next 5 years?
Well, I can't wait for the next 5 years. I really feel like this is a new beginning. I've really unlocked this new sense of confidence and purpose and willingness to just go after it, starting in whichever way possible. So I have big dreams, like I said, to start some adventure recovery initiatives here in Canada. I would love to facilitate opportunities for other people to connect and to go on some adventures together. I think getting out in nature and challenging ourselves, whether it's through hikes or paddleboarding or whatever it may be, I'd love to get groups of people together to recover and connect. And the best way to do that is to connect through activities that you have in common. And so pulling those together sometimes is what most people are looking to have done for them. And then hopefully that encourages them to branch out and start them themselves in their own community. So that's really the goal, is to get things started and hopefully encourage and inspire others to carry it forward.
Brilliant, brilliant. Well, I'm excited to see how epic this series is and see what's next for you as well. So thank you so much for being on the podcast. Before we end, I'd love to hear I mean, you've touched on it quite a bit, but what does thriving alcohol-free mean to you, Sarah?
Gosh, see, I knew you were going to ask this. I love this question, and it's so hard to answer in a bite-sized nugget. But for me, thriving alcohol-free means building a life that is so full of purpose and connection and adventure that alcohol just doesn't even have a place in it anymore. I honestly can't believe how much my life has expanded since I quit drinking. I'm absolutely not missing out on anything that I thought I was going to. I've gained so much in more ways than I could ever imagine. And the best part is I no longer live in that constant state of embarrassment or shame and resentment, relentlessly trying to manage something that can't be managed, and then settling for surface level connections or reliving the same nights over and over and over, sleeping away the days, experiencing very little of what life has to offer. All disguised as the dream when it was nothing but a nightmare. So I'm honestly so grateful that I finally woke up.
Oh, what a wonderful answer. Thank you so much. So, how can people connect with you?
Well, I'd love to connect. My Instagram handle is at the Sober Sherpa, and this is the best place for now. And then, of course, I'd love for people to check out the speaker series. Soberadventurecollective.com is where you can register for that free event, and I would love to connect with you after that.
Brilliant, brilliant. Any final thoughts? Anything else you want to leave the listener
Oh my
with?
gosh. Can I just thank you, Dupe, for all that you do, and honestly for this gracious invitation to be a part of your podcast. This is another milestone for me. The first that I've done, I'll admit that, and something I was super nervous for, honestly, but I think the more you challenge yourself to take on new challenges, you surprise yourself of just what's possible. But I'm so grateful for the opportunity, and I think you're awesome for all that you do and for having the to bet on me.
Oh, bless you. Well, I thought it was an amazing conversation. And I think what you're doing, Sarah, is absolutely epic, if I use your word. And it's going to change lives. So well done for having the courage to pull something so amazing together and to get all these people together. It's just really going to make such a huge difference. And it's definitely something that's needed in this space. I've always been about the stopping drinking is fine, but it is the what next that's really important, because that's it. That's the rest of your life, right? And there's so much life to live. And what do you want to do with your one wild, precious life? And when you stop drinking, you have opportunities to do so much. And this is going to really open the eyes to a lot of people. So well done, you.
Thank you.
Okay, well, it's been so lovely. I am excited for the event, and I'd love to hear how you keep going. And who knows, we might get you back on at some point to hear how things have unfolded. And I think that would be really
Yeah.
exciting. So, okay. Well, thank you for being on, and go and get your ticket for Sobriety is the New Epic. You don't want to miss it. Thanks, Sarah. Take care. Well, thank you, Sarah. What a fab conversation. And I've no doubt that Sobriety is the New Epic virtual series is really going to impact so many people. And I do hope you get a ticket and watch the series. It's over the 2 weeks from the 21st of April until the 4th of May. And so feel free to check that out. And I was reflecting on what she said about the corporate career and the fact that she didn't need it anymore. And we all get caught up with this is what we have to do, this is what we need to do, this is what defines us. But really reflecting on whether or not you're in the right role, you're doing the right thing, you're being recognized for that right thing, etc., is really key. It's really key for us to take a step back and just say, am I where I want to be? Is this serving me anymore? Could there be something more fulfilling for me to do, more meaningful? Or am I absolutely in the right role, but I just would like to get that promotion or increase my salary or whatever it is? And so I again encourage you to get my guide. I'm so excited about this guide. I really can't wait to get it into the hands of everybody. And I would love you to get it. 10 steps to double your corporate career. And as you can imagine, it does include some steps that you may think are quite obvious, but have made such a difference, as well as some really great tips that you may not have thought about. So go grab your guide. Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear what your key takeaways were from it. And go and get your ticket for Sobriety is the New Epic virtual speaker series. I'm on the 2nd of May, and so you can listen to my talk on the 2nd of May. And as Sarah said, you've got 24 hours to listen to each of the talks. So have a wonderful Easter break if you are celebrating Easter, and enjoy the long weekend. And I will see you on the next one. Take care. Thank you so much for listening to the Thrive Alcohol Free podcast. If you enjoyed the episode, please subscribe so you get alerted every time I drop a new episode. I'd love it if you could rate, review, and share this episode. Feel free to tag me on Instagram at Thrive Alcohol Free and follow me for daily tips. If you would like to work with me, I offer one-to-one coaching sessions and have my group coaching program. If you're not yet ready for coaching, I also have a self-paced online course, which is a companion to my book, A Cocktail of Clarity. I will see you in the next episode. Have a wonderful week. Take care.